Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. When life throws you curveballs your way, it's important to have the right tools to bounce back stronger than ever. Meridith Elliott Powell, award-winning business expert, keynote speaker, and best-selling author, has a new book due out this July. I think it's available right now, in fact, titled Mentally Fit, Powerfully Resilient, and Competitively Strong. You're taking a look at the cover of it right now. She joins us now to talk more about the book and the motivation behind writing it. So thank you, Meridith, for joining us once again on the show. Very much appreciate it.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Sure. So talk to us. What inspired you to write this new book?
Yeah, well, we've talked so often. You've been so great to talk to me about my passion with my other book, Thrive, Turning Uncertainty to Competitive Advantage. And that's really for leaders, about how to strategically lead your organization through unprecedented, uncertain times. Well, everybody was coming to me saying, we've been at this so long. My team is burned out. They are fried. They are exhausted. And I think the statistics now are like, I don't know, 2 out of every 5 or 3 out of 5 employees now are suffering from mental burnout. Wow. And I thought it's because I think we're trying to do things like give people chair massages or a couple of days off, which are all nice. But I think that we need to teach people that life is unfair. Business is hard. You reach obstacles. And there's so much pride and confidence that comes from pushing through those. Right. And I don't think that people have the tools these days to be resilient, to be competitively strong, and to really navigate what sometimes in life just isn't fair.
That's right. That's right. Do you think this is, for the people that are watching, and I've got to ask you this question, do you think this is different across different generations?
Absolutely. I think it's different. We're filming this, at a time when we just came off D-Day. And I was running through an airport, minding my own business, when I came across a D-Day display, stopped me dead in my tracks. And I thought, wow, talk about pushing through resilience, talk about pushing through tough times, talk about doing what you need to do to win. And I think we've wanted to save our kids from the challenges that we have had to deal with. And in doing that, I do think we've created a softer generation.
Yeah, there's no question about it. So in the book, you list 9 strategies to reshape your life. Can you share a few of those key strategies with us?
Yeah, number one is that you've got to have a vision for your life. Far too often we're waiting on a company or we're waiting on a leader to cast a vision for us, but it's your life, it's your career. You need to define it. And the thing that is so amazing about your mind is that it will find a way to push through obstacles. It'll find a way to get there. And so you really need to think about, where do I want my business, my life, my career 5 years from now? And you need to focus on that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then for some facing adversity right now, what immediate actions or steps would you recommend they take?
Yeah, number one is build the network. I love that we are living in a high-tech world. I love the fact that I could sit at home and never talk to another human being. But at the end of the day, the fastest way to push through an obstacle is to be connected to other people. Somebody, so I don't care how big your problem is right now. I don't care what it is you're facing. I'm sorry for it. But you can find somebody who's been there, who's done that, and who's found a way through that. And at any moment in time, you talked about generations too. It's another art that it's dying on the vine. And when I always say to people, when you hit an obstacle, you shouldn't ask yourself, what do I need to do? You should ask yourself, who do I need to talk to? Because somebody can help you solve the problem.
Ask better questions, right? Yeah, there's no question. And you're right, there is always somebody out there, and people are willing to help if they're just asked. So many people, I think, live in this cocoon where I don't want to ask anybody, or I don't want to look fragile, or I don't want to look weak, and I don't want them to know what I'm going through. But at the end of the day, you usually find people that go, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked me because I was there a week ago or last year, whatever the case might be, and this is what worked well for me. I'm so happy to help you. People want to help others, right?
I always say that. I say we have a basic human desire. I would say the other thing that people need to do, and this one I might get bad mail from, but you need to quit blaming other people. Not because that isn't right. I mean, I talked to a young woman the other day that really does have a bad boss. But there's nothing, you can't change that person. It's a waste of your time and energy. And you're only given so much energy. And when you focus it on what you cannot control, you waste the precious energy you need to change your life. So you've got to let those things go.
That's so true, so true. And everybody's got their own threshold and their own situation where for that person that has a bad boss, and we've all had those in our careers, where you just, what keeps you there? What is it about that situation where you say, I'm still staying with this company or with this firm or this group of people, but I can't stand my boss? Life's too short. You got to take a closer look at that. And to your point, it is your life. You need to take control and move on from that if it's just not working for you, right?
Absolutely. Years ago, I got the opportunity to interview 4 billionaires that had come from nothing. I mean,
Wow.
One man had grown up with no running water. And when I asked all 4 of them, how did you make it from where you are to becoming incredibly philanthropic, employing people, thousands and thousands of people? It came down to one thing. Now, they were all in their 80s. So they all said, we grew up with no net. There was no Social Security.
Right.
Our parents wouldn't let us move back home. Once you got married, you had to take care of your wife and children because nobody else, there wasn't any other form to do that. And while our country doesn't need to swing that far ever again, there is something, and what really struck me is that how proud they were, they really believed they could do anything. So I wrote the book because I want people to believe that adversity and pushing through it is what makes you strong. And when you are strong, you control your destiny.
That's right.
And that is the ultimate freedom.
That's right. There was a recent report that showed that grit outweighs education across the board, that if somebody's got the grit, you give me that individual all day long, somebody that's got that driving or that drive within them to succeed, rather than maybe even the college graduate that comes out and kind of feels entitled. I'm not saying don't go to college, and for those of you, that Jim's talking negatively about, an education like that, that's great. However, when you have the two of those combined, you've got the grit and the drive along with the education. Well, now you're unstoppable, right?
Absolutely. And so when I wrote the book, what I wanted to do very much was teach people how to do that for themselves, or leaders can use the book to build a team like that. Because one thing that I've said to the leaders that I've spoken to, if your team is burned out, if they're overwhelmed, if they're exhausted, that's your fault as much as it is their fault. You're there to lead them through this and show them how to do it. And again, I just really wrote it because I felt like it's just tools and strategies that have been lost in our society. And they're the best gift you can be given.
No question about it. In addition to those great points that you made, what else do you want the reader to leave with?
I want the reader to leave with this understanding that that every obstacle in front of you can lead to your greatest opportunity. If you focus on what you can control and you forget about the rest, you just need to trust the journey. I do not know why life is unfair. I do not know why things happen to us. None of that can be changed. But if you focus on what you can control, I can promise you and guarantee it, you're going to wind up in a far better place than you've been.
That is so true. No question about it. Hey, before I let you go, tell us about the Sales Logic podcast that you co-host with Mark Hunter. I tune in all the time. I love it. I think everyone that's listening to us have this discussion today should do the same. So tell us about that.
You're so great. We so appreciate you. My partner and I, Mark Hunter, go live every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern to talk about sales. And what the show is based on is helping you with your challenges to create opportunities to sell more effectively in today's marketplace. And when you say why a sales podcast is because, sales, I think, is the greatest skill that you can have. And even if you don't sell directly in a company to customers, you sell. Believe me, you've got to sell for your career. You've got to sell your kids to eat vegetables, get your parents to quit driving. I mean, anything you do,
so
you've got to
you may have to sell yourself to your spouse every now and then, right?
Exactly. So that podcast, and we start every week featuring a question from the audience, so that we really make sure we remain relevant. So thank you, and we'd love to have all of you Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Catch us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or go to saleslogicpodcast.com.
awesome. Thank you again, Meridith Elliott Powell, for joining us on the show. Very much appreciate it. By the way, we didn't mention about your speaking, but that's how Bridget and I came across you, and man, you blew us away. Anybody looking for a great speaker to head up their conference, start right here. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.